I always had love for dogs. Dogs always was my first love. But when I started my podcast and when I started YouTube, it was a little bit different for me. I wanted to bring awareness to some of the health problems that certain breeds would have that might be underlying that the average consumer or the average owner might not know about. I wanted to bring awareness to how important it is to deworm your dog, or how important it is to make sure your dog get, their blood work done at once a year. And I definitely wanted to bring awareness to saving money in your pocket, because dogs cost. So Duro Lounge is one of those things where we conversate about things that we went through, things that we had to deal with, and what you might see in the future.
Yo, 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 Duro, Ricio, Bully Camp Squad. What's that word? What's that word? What's that word? And right now, man, we coming back at you live and direct with some more information. This is going to be a good one. So I just want to show everybody love. Hope everybody had a good holiday. I hope everybody's safe, taking care of those dogs, and this heat is number one. This topic right here is very special to me because I'm able to give y'all a little bit more of me. And with me giving y'all a little bit more of me, it helps y'all understand my vision and why I'm not like these other guys on YouTube, and why I strive to be different, why I dare to be different, and why I like to be different. Right? So sit back, man. This is going to be a good one. You know what I mean? Whatever time you spend here, I appreciate it. Whatever like I get here, I appreciate it. Whatever subscribers I get here, I appreciate it. So without further ado, let me just get into it. Uh, Doro Lounge is my podcast every Wednesday, 8:30, with Yellow One, um, Nell Mac, guest panel member, my brother's kennel, MBK, and we bring health and different topics, but it's always surrounded by health and vision and motivation. And I want to give motivation here on this show here because of the simple fact that it's easy for us to get um, influenced and to influence by other people and what other people is doing. And I was just having a conversation with two friends of mine about this because they inspired to do something that it seems like everyone else is, you know, the trend is to do. And I just was telling, them that, just have your vision. Your vision is everything, to see your vision, to come up with your vision, and then see your vision through, no matter what, no matter who says, no matter what doubts, no matter, you have to see it through first. And if it fails, that's okay. You can always retool. But before you even get started, you just retool. I feel like you always sell yourself short. You never want to sell yourself short in this business and in this type of environment, because of the simple fact you want to gain your traction and have your traction for years to come. That's the main goal. And somehow a lot of dog men, excuse me, has gotten away from that, right? They gotten away from, you know, listen, man, I'm here for the long run. I'm here because I want my name on those papers. I'm here because I want legacy. You know what I'm saying? I want legacy. Legacy has to be in your vision. And if legacy is not in your vision, I'm going to be honest, you're not really going to last, right? You might have a moment because everything has a moment, but once your moment pass, so will you. And you would no longer hold that place that you thought you was going to always hold, right? And that's the game and the tip of the day on this show. So I just wanted to give people that game and that knowledge, and make sure, like, and hopefully it'll have you respect your vision, right? Your vision is everything. Don't let nobody downplay your vision. Don't feel like you got to follow other people to have your vision. Don't feel like none of that. Have your vision. Your vision is your vision. You know what I mean? Because my vision is my vision. And I don't care, you know, who my friends are, who my affiliates are, who my real life friends are, who my cousins is, none of that. What I did as a kid, a teenager growing up, I don't care about none of that. It's about what I'm doing right now. And it's about me. It's about my vision. Duro balls. That's what it's about right now. And you have to look at that blueprint for yourself the same way. You can't get wrapped up in what someone else is doing. I'm telling you, you're not going to have the time in the moment that you think you're going to have. All right. So check this out. When I think about this topic right here, I think about two men who helped shape me how I see dogs, right? And they came from different generations at different times of my life and on my journey as a dog man, right? But they both left me with something that I can carry on for the rest of my life and the rest of my time wanting to deal with dogs, right? So the first one was Mr. Ron from South Philly. Now, Mr. Ron was a true dog man. His yard wasn't about one breed. His yard wasn't about, hey, I got this. His yard was a real yard, and it was about quality. I mean, he had American Pit Bull Terriers. He had Rottweilers. He had Dogos. He had uh, I think that's all he had. But my point is every time I walked into his yard, I felt like I was walking into a classroom, not just a yard. All right. And he wasn't a loud person. He wasn't trying to impress nobody. He let the dogs do the talking and let the dogs do the talking for real. And that stood out to me versus people who loudmouth. They want the attention, but act like they don't want the attention, but they do, right? When you humble, this is one thing I learned from my OGs. When you humble, you go a lot farther than the loudest one in the room, because the loudest one in the room is always the weakest one in the room. He loud because he weak, and his strength is his lungs and his voice for him to feel like he has the power, but he's really weak, right? So keep that in mind. And one of the biggest things Mr. Ron taught me was how to read a pedigree. Before him and I looked at the pedigree and saw the famous names, and this is back in the day, y'all. So Mr. Ron taught me how to slow down, and he'll say to me, don't just read the paper. Don't just read the paper, man. Understand the family. And he wanted me to ask questions. Who produce, right? That female consistently. And what did she throw consistently? Why was this breeding repeated? Why was this breeding inbreeding or line breeding? He would ask me these questions, right? And then he'll be like, what was the breeder trying to lock in, you think, from you seeing what you're seeing, right? And he told me that every pedigree tells a story if you know how to read one. So these people that say pedigrees don't matter and this, that, and the third, they don't matter. You got to understand, when it's real, it matters. When you have a vision, it matters. All right. That's going to give you your vision. Your pedigree is going to give you your vision. I'm not saying to breed off your pedigree and try to follow your pedigree, but to understand how to really have a vision from your pedigree. What to put together, what not put together means a lot more than you saying this pedigree, this piece of paper don't matter. Right. And then I met OG. I call him OG. You know what I mean? But his kennel is Carter Kennels. Carter Kennels, pardon me. And he sharpened another part of my eye, because Carter Kennels really made me pay attention to structure. He taught me to stop looking at just a big head, you know, big paws, a nice color. He started telling me to pay attention more to the entire dog, the top line, the fronts, the rear angulation, the balance of the dog. A lot of people don't talk about balance, right? So sometimes the dogs have flat paws, right? And people don't talk about the balance of the dogs with the flat paws, the flat feet. You know, they don't talk about the movement, and those things is what keeps a dog functional, not just the attraction, right? Not just how the dog looks. And that's the main mess up that a lot of people have, right? In this game, whether they got bullies or whatever they're doing, whatever people run. A lot of them just do it because, hey man, like, look at it, look, this a try. You know, that's what it is. And he will always emphasize to me, you know what I mean, that how you raise your puppies is how they're gonna come out in the long run. And I always say this in my shows, but this is where I got it from, right? He always talked about feeding young puppies properly so they grow at a healthy pace and don't just have unnecessary stress, right? And bad joints, developing hips, shoulders, all of that, right? He'd rather see a pup develop naturally than to deal with a problem later. You know what I mean? Because you let the pup grow too fast. That taught me that you know what I'm saying, that, you know, a good breeder doesn't stop, you know what I mean, with um just, oh, the productions is good. You know what I mean? It taught me that good breeding happens from good whelping happens from the time the puppies are born. You know what I mean? And how you raise them matter. So that's the main thing that people get construed and don't understand. They get it all messed up. How you raise them as a pup, okay? From day one did they come out, help shape them. How you feed them, what you feed them, it makes a difference. All right. So when I look at my own program and what I want to build and how I want to build my program, I realize I'm carrying pieces in both of those men. Pause. No funny. But Mr. Ron taught me how to build with a purpose and understand the bloodlines and steady the bloodlines. Carter Kennels taught me to demand my structure, my soundness, and my proper development, which I'm about. You put those lessons together, man, and now I got my own vision for Duro Bulls, right? Because I'm not trying to copy Mr. Ron. I'm not trying to copy OG, right? I'm just trying to honor what they taught me and build something in my way, right? And that's the main thing. That's what you got to understand. And that's what a lot of young brothers that I talk to, they don't understand. It's about following. It's about being inspired by someone that you see doing what you inspired to do, and you just want to follow that person. You can't do that, right? Because what works for them might not work for you. It just might not work for you. So you got to remain calm and do what you're supposed to do for you and your kin. All right. Your vision. So that's the main thing that you got to keep in mind when you're doing breedings, when you want to do breedings, when you want inspired to breed dogs. All right. When you're inspired to breed dogs, this is the main thing that you got to keep in your head, your vision. And we're going to always go back to that, your vision, because your vision is everything. Okay. So the main thing is why the old school dogmen was so more successful than what we're seeing now, I really believe that the difference is that the old school dog men had more patience. Today, you know what I'm saying, we live in a world where everything is chasing the next thing. Every few months, social media got something else going on, and everybody gets inspired by social media, right? So when a dog go viral, somebody wants to produce something that looks like that dog, or they want to get a stud fee, you know, and produce a dog and produce some puppies from that dog. And then once that main dog go viral, everybody want to litter. Everybody want to litter from that dog, right? And it's the most talked about dog ever. And you know, the old school dog men, they wasn't very big on what's going on right now. They were doing their own thing. You know what I mean? They was doing their own thing. That's how you win. You have to do your own thing. I don't care what you do in life. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you an athlete. I don't care if you're an exterminator. I don't care if you're a nurse. I don't care if you're a doctor. You never a good doctor or a good surgeon never look at another surgeon and say, "Well, how fast does it that he stitch this person up?" They don't do that, right? They don't do that. They stick to their pace, right? They stick to their pace and they do what they got to do for their patients. And that's the main thing. That's how you stay ahead, because winners don't look to the side and see how far another person is. You ain't worried about that. Your tunnel vision is focused on you winning, right? That's it. You ain't looking to the side. Oh man, they 5 steps behind me. You don't care about that. You try and cross that finish line and you try and do what you got to do. And that's a lesson for everything, no matter what you do. If your job is competitive, like an exterminator, you're not sitting up here worrying about the cells of Greg or the cells of Oliver. You ain't worried about that, man. You worrying about getting that cheese so you can feed your family, yourself, or whatever situation you got going on. So you have to think about that with your program. You can't look at another person. Oh, they got this. I don't care what another man has. I don't care how far another man think he is ahead of me. I don't care about none of that, because when I build, I'm ready to build for me. Okay. So I'm not worried about, oh, yeah, you got this right now. I don't care about that. You know what I mean? My main thing is, hey, man, once I get here, I know, because I know what I know. And that's gonna change a lot of things for me. So I already know that, right? So this is how you keep your focus, right? Because the old school dogman was looking for the most reliable producer, right? A dog can be famous and not consistently reproduce his own qualities. And on the other hand, a dog can become a celebrity, right? A Instagram sensation, and quietly produce generations of quality dogs, right? And to me, that's what make a producer: quality dogs, right? Because when I say a producer, I'm talking about a dog that consistently stamps his offspring, meaning you can look at the puppies and recognize the influence of the dad, right? Whether it's his head, whether it's how it walk, whether it's the temperament, whether it's the structure, whether it's the drive, or the overall well-being, meaning the balance of the dog. Whatever it is, you know where it came from, right? So meaning if my dog Pretty Boy Bane is a top producer, that means whenever I see his offspring, I'm gonna know, man, that's a Pretty Boy Bane. offspring, bro. I'm gonna know that. It's just like you can look at the Dax dogs, right? And no matter, Dax has kids that's bigger than him, right? But one thing you can't shake from a Dax dog is the look, the face. You can look at it and be like, yo, that's a Dax dog, right? So that's the main thing that you got to understand when you're talking about a producer. A lot of people get it mixed up, right? Just because your dog has, or your dog's offspring has some traits of your dog, doesn't mean your dog is a producer. Just means, of course, it was bred. You see a little influence in it. It's not a producer. Producer, you need some qualities of your dog. Like I said, that prey drive, that balance, right? That's what you want to notice when you see something from your dog, right? You want to see the temperament. You want to see the structure. That's what you want to see. So that's what people mess up at. That's where I feel like they mess up today because people don't really have the understanding of what's a producer and you just having a dog with litters, right? And they just got a couple of or one thing from the dog. Oh yeah, he got the same color. Yeah, now see what he does. But he doesn't really have the qualities of this dog, right? The dog that we're seeing, we're not really seeing any offspring. That's not a producer. Okay. That's just a dog that made that dog. That's it. And people got to understand the difference between it. Because when old school breeders found the male like that can produce, they didn't rush to replace him. You know what I mean? They did not rush to replace that dog. They learned him. They studied him. They paid attention to what kind of females that he would go well with. Okay? They noticed what traits he had, what strengthened him, and what traits he would fail at or he didn't improve on, right? Every litter gave them information. And every generation made them smarter because what? Again, they paid attention. That's the main thing. You have to pay attention. You have to pay attention to what you have, man. You have to study your litters. Me and a brother said this on an episode, and if you're familiar, if you listen to Duro Lounge, that you're gonna know that half of the things I'm saying, I repeat almost every show, right? Because this is game, this is a learning, okay? This is a learning channel for dog men and dog women to come to. Whether you're a breeder for yourself, you don't have to be a breeder. This is the thing that I want to put out there too. If you're a breeder and you breed for yourself, meaning you want to keep the bloodline that you have going, right? Nothing wrong with that. Do not let people say you're not a breeder because you're not mass producing puppies. You're not having a litter of three, three females pregnant every time you turn around. That don't mean that you're not a breeder, right? That doesn't mean you're not a dog man or a dog woman because your dogs get old. And if they're not fixed, if they're intact, then you say to yourself, hey, man, you know what? I want to do this breeding because, this dog is 6, and not saying that you wishing, but we understand that our lifeline is longer than our dogs. And when we understand that, then we say to ourselves, we say, okay, man, well, how can I keep this blood going? Right? Because I want to keep it going. So you have a litter, you keep some, or you keep most of them, or you keep all of them, whatever the case is. You let 2 go to the public, whatever. but you kept your bloodline and you kept your dog's uh, lifetime and lineage. You kept it going, and there's nothing wrong with that because I think that's honorable. You know what I'm saying? I think that's honorable. I like that myself because that's what a lot of old school dog men did as well. I model Duro Ricio Bully Camp, Duro Bulls. I model that like an old school dog man. All right. Because I grew up in the 90s. So I model myself like an old school dog man. I do not model myself as you know what's going on right now. I never if anybody who watches my channel, I've never been influenced by nobody. You know what I mean? My talk, my lingo is me, right? I never try to sound like no one. I never try to be like nobody. I'm not inspired by no one. I'm inspired by myself. I can't be up there behind no funny of another man. I'm up my own because I'm the man. So I don't need to follow anybody. And that's what you have to understand, right? That's what I want us to understand. Okay? Follow yourself. Be yourself. You'll go a lot farther than trying to follow every little thing that someone else does. Right? So Doro Bulls operate like an old school kennel, right? And I'm gonna get into a little bit deeper what I mean, right? In a second. So this is what you gotta understand. Why production and your productions will matter more, right? One great looking dog, y'all, does not tell you very much about a person's program. That means you have one great or good looking dog. One, right? That doesn't really tell you what you need to know. But when you got papers like UKC and you got papers like ABKC and you able to see how many offsprings, you know, the dogs and on your pedigree had, and they had what 50 something offspring. See, that tells you a whole lot, right? Because how the dogmen old school, how the old school dogmen is thinking is they thinking once they watch a dog produce over and over and over again, they don't have to guess. You begin making decisions based on the evidence that you got in front of you. That's what you got to understand, right? If a dog throws good fronts, a good rear, great balance, a stable temperament, healthy puppies across multiple females, why would you abandon that, right? Why would you abandon that? This is what's happening right now today, right? Everybody's scrapping whatever they had going on because they want to get into the trend. And what's the trend? What's the trend, Doro? Oh, it's a lot of them. It's a lot of trends, right? It's a whole lot of trends going on. Everybody want this. Everybody want to breed that. Everybody want to breed this. It's so many trends. But why? Why would you want to do that? Hmm? The old school dog man believed in proving the dog and proving the dog and proving the dog before moving on, right? And that's the main thing and the mess up that we have today. Nobody is proven and proven. I mean, look at any, I mean, we could talk about any dog. We could talk about Camelot's the Duke, right? We could go to any kennel. We could talk about uh Gotti Line Dax, right? We can go down the line on any legendary dogs. Any legendary dogs. We can go down the line and we can say to ourselves, like, look, how many times did these dogs run? Look at Rocco Mania. We could talk about Rocco Mania. Same thing. Rocco come off that pardon me. So just look at what Rocco has done for his offsprings. Just look at what he's done. Look at what he's produced. Right? So this is what we have to understand. Stop thinking that you have to go out and acquire 1,000,000 dogs before you even see what your dog is truly capable of. Stop trying to follow what this person said to do and go do what you need to do for you. Stop trying to follow what you think a person is doing and follow your blueprint. Your what? Your vision. Okay? That's the main thing. That's how you're going to be successful. Your vision. You have to have a vision. Now, I'll sit up here and I say this. I'm not going to say any names, but I was watching a YouTuber, a dog man, of course, and he has a dog, and he has a dog his from that dog, and it's a daughter. He has an offspring from that dog. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, I'm saying, why haven't he took the father to the daughter yet? Because that father is a very nice dog, a very good dog, a dog that can be used to clean up a lot of mistakes and faults, right? So why wouldn't you double up on that? The daughter is a good dog, right? Good good quality, nice thick bulldog. So yet you haven't done a line breeding or inbreeding with any of those dogs, and why? Right? Why? Because you're too busy worrying about acquiring other things. You're too busy worried about running other bloodlines instead of running the bloodline that you have. That when that bloodline is gone, you're gonna say to yourself, "Man, why not? Why I didn't preserve that? Why not? Why I didn't preserve that? I should have preserved that. I should have kept that." Right? So we take a second and we look at the problems that we have across the board. Okay. The problems that we have across the board is that you're not matching up what you need to match up. You just doing anything. You just breeding just to breed. You're not breeding with a vision, with a purpose. You're not doing that. And I'm not the one to tell anybody what to do with their program, because your programming with your vision is your vision. But all I'm saying is that's a mistake. And that's going to be a big mistake, right? That's going to be a big mistake in the long run, because then you're going to say, man, I don't got no more of that good blood. That's something I learned from Carter Kennels. All right. Something I learned from him. His dog Loki, when he took Loki to Freya, he got Nyx and Nyla, right? Where Pretty Boy Bane would be going to Nyla, right? We gonna get on that. But my main thing is, he said to me, he said, the reason why I wanted to really get this breeding done is because his bloodline, I forgot what bloodline Loki is, but it's a really good bloodline. Really good. It's a high quality bloodline. I can't think of the name right now, y'all, but it's a really good bloodline. And that's a big boy. He might be as big as Bane, my dog, Pretty Boy Bane. He might be as big as him, but he's a really nice, thick bulldog, right? Bully. And this is what I'm saying. Like, he said to me, like, man, I just want to keep his bloodline going. So this is why I'm doing these breedings. And he keeps some, and then he keeps the puppies around. So if he have to use a stud or two or something, he could go back is around. That's smart. And that's what you got to do. Right? That's what you have to do. It makes sense, y'all. It makes sense. Main thing, when I started this, I said that today, dogmen rush. Old school dogmen had patience. It is no rush, y'all. Y'all got time. Y'all got time. Stop thinking that you got to go get this, you got to go get that, you got to go get this, you got to go get that. No. Now you just about to be a person with a whole bunch of dogs and didn't even get your main program started. You didn't take 2 dogs, build off of that, get into that and run that, and build something up off of that, and then go out and go say, okay, I'm gonna do this now. You didn't do that. You barely gave the F ones, you barely gave them anything, right? They barely got any play. So what happens after that? Nothing? There's no F2s? So you're just breeding just to breed then. Where's the F2s at? Where's the 3s? Where's it at? You have to have that in your program, right? Especially if you got good dogs. If you have good dogs and you want to keep that bloodline alive, then that's what you have to do. So that's like my good American pit bull terrier people when they preserve the Sorrells blood, or they preserve the Bolio blood, or the Carvers, or any of those other bloodlines out here. You know, the Jeep, whatever they got going on, they preserving it to say, hey man, listen, I'm keeping things like this. I remember watching Lee Robinson, and he said that he wanted to sell, I think, and this is just me paraphrasing, don't 100% quote me on this, but it's, if you watched him, then you're gonna know what I'm talking about. But he was talking about getting rid of a Sorrells dog. But he was saying that he didn't want the Sorrells dog to go to just anybody, because he wanted it to go to somebody who was going to preserve it, right? He didn't want nobody to take it and then cross it with some crap, and then it get all screwed up and then it's not preserved. He wanted to go to somebody who was going to do right by the dog, going to do right by the bloodline. And see, that's smart thinking. If you want to be legendary, you have to think smart. You got to strategize. You got to play checkers, a little bit more chess, but you can put checkers into play as well. You got it. You got to do that, because you can jump when you need to jump. Blessings come, y'all. As fast as blessings come, blessings go. But don't box yourself in so fast because you're trying to rush your process instead of stand down until you come up. There's nothing wrong with that. Right? So that's the main thing that I like to say when I talk about dogs. Because I think people misunderstand what building around one stud actually meant. It didn't mean breeding him to every female without thinking, right? It didn't mean ignoring his health or ignoring what you're going to get from it. It meant using him as the foundation dog, right? While still making it a good breeding. They still selected females carefully. What do you call that? Selective breeding. They evaluated again every litter. And they did. They was hard on dogs. They removed dogs from the breeding program that they felt, hey, this dog doesn't meet my standards. Right? That's just what it is. That's just what it is. So that's what you gotta understand, yo. Right? There's plenty of people that ask me about a stud fee. There's plenty of people that ask me about doing a breeding. No. The answer is no. I'm not doing it. Why, Duro? You know why? Because I don't like that person's female. If the female is not kept up to a certain standard of mine, why would I let Pretty Boy Bane anywhere near it? Come on, man. Selective breeding. If I ask you to see the pedigree, you send me the pedigree. You got two families of the dog up there, not three. You got 2 generations of the dog up there, not 3. No, I'm not doing it. You saying you got American Bully, but it breathes like no. 100 and something degrees outside. When I take my dogs outside real fast, we come back, my dogs ain't they panting like regular dogs. That's how the American Bully should breathe. That's how my dogs should breathe. And if your dog breathes like that, I'm not taking my dog and putting bad dogs out there on my name. No. So yeah, if your business is right and your dogs is right, yeah, absolutely. We could talk about it. I tell that to people on the street. You know, I'm not just, oh yeah, give me this much. Nah, bro. Nah, no. Mm-mm. No, thank you, man. Because I'm about what's right. That's what I'm about. Everything ain't gonna be perfect, but I am a perfectionist. I am. I get mad when I'm building something and it don't come out how I wanted it to be. When I had it in my head, I get mad. Like that's a flaw of mine, but it's also a pet peeve of mine. That isn't if it's not to my standard, no. That's true. Okay. So that's what you got to think about when you're doing these things with your dog. Everybody should not be able to, oh yeah, breed to my dog, breed to my dog, breed to my dog, you breed to my dog. Everybody shouldn't be able to do that, y'all. Right? Because the main thing, and I said this on a post, because what I really respect about the old school breeders as well, whether it's ADBA or UKC, is that you know they were trying to build a family of dogs, not just a collection of random pedigrees. You know what I'm saying? And that's important. They wanted people to recognize their dogs before anybody even looked at the paperwork. Like I said, a lot of Dax, Camelot. You already know a Camelot dog when you see a Camelot. If you in the American Pit Bull Terriers, you can pretty much look at it and say, oh man, that's so big, that's a Sorrels. You can pretty much say that if you know the blood, if you know the dogs. You can pretty much tell and look at it and say, oh man, yeah, that's what he running. Or that's what that dog is. You can automatically do that. So when someone saw a old school dog man's dog, they would say, that's a Camelot. That's a Bolio. That's this, that's that. That's what they would say. And that's before social media was even around, even existed. Right? Today, I feel like we become too addicted of the variety. That's what I think what's wrong with today. Every breeding has to involve a new kennel. a new bloodline, a new trend, a new famous dog. And if you constantly changing directions, y'all, are you really building a family, or you just collecting dogs and you just collecting paperwork, right? That's questions that you should ask yourself. What am I really doing? Like I said about the breeder that I was watching, right? If you got this bloodline, this bloodline, this bloodline on your yard, but this was your once your foundation stud, why ain't he having line breeding or inbreeding in play to keep him going, to keep his legacy going, right? And just throwing them with this and throwing them with that and throwing them with this and throwing them with that, whichever you feel like breeding them to. See, that's not a vision, man. You're just doing stuff at that point. And that doesn't go very far, right? That's what I'm saying. And not at all am I disrespecting or not giving the female dogs enough love, because I'm getting there. But conversations like this become all about the stud dog. But great breeding programs are built on great females as well, y'all. A proven stud still needs the right female to bring out the best in him and in his litter, right? So when you're a good breeder and you have a vision, you have to recognize those patterns instead of pretending every litter is going to be outstanding. And that's the reason why a lot of people fell off as well, because a lot of people pretend that every litter is going to be that litter. No, it's not. That's a lie. It's not. It's not. Okay? It's not. So that's what you got to keep in mind, y'all. You gotta realize the patterns of your dogs, your females and your studs. Understand them. Don't just pretend because, oh yeah, man, this is bossy bloodline and this is bossy bloodline. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is gonna be outstanding. This is gonna be that one right here. No, 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 no. See, you a salesman at that point. That's like going to the jewelry store. I like jewelry, right? That's like going to the jewelry store and talking to the salesman. That's what a lot of people get in misconstrued too, right? When you go in the jewelry store, they think you talking to a jeweler. No, dude is behind the counter, y'all. He's there to make a sale. The jeweler is in the back. Work it. You know what I'm saying? So that, of course, the salesman gonna tell you a good sell tactic. Yeah, man. I usually sell these for, I usually sell these for 1,000, but right now, I let it go for 600. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I usually sell them for 1,000, but I let you get this for 350. Of course, because it really sells for what? 350. I'm not dumb. That's the main thing that we have to keep in mind, even when we looking to purchase a dog from somebody. Okay, the buyer's guideline. Even when you looking to buy a dog from somebody, if every time a person has no time for you, they can't reach out to you, you ask them for their number, you ask them for their cash app to send them deposit, and they don't do that, leave them where they at. Leave them where they are at. Okay? Because if every time you hit them up and they got a breeder, oh yeah, this gonna be the one right here. This you might want to get on this one right here. No, no, I don't want to get on that one right there. No, I don't at all. And see, that's the problem. That's the salesman. The breeder that has the humbleness to conversate with you, exchange numbers with you, send their cash app, write up a contract for you. That's the breeder that I want to do business with. The ones that hide, oh, you can send me voice messages all day, but you can't respond to me. You can't call me. I can have an understanding of you and you have an understanding of me. That means you got something to hide and I don't want to do business with you. That's what you got to understand. That's how you do business. You do business the right way. So that's the main thing that people get misconstrued too. Oh, this person got this many followers. Are they all real? Is all the followers real? Are they? Hmm? Oh yeah, this person, yeah, he talked to them. Oh, really? Do we? But just because he talked to them, is he really affiliated with them? Yeah. He is. Okay, cool. You think so? Because everything ain't what it seems. Don't get burned out here, people. Don't get burned out here, man, trying to do business with big people just because they got a following, a social media follower. That don't mean nothing. Some of the most modest people on Instagram are some of the best breeders that you can get a dog from. I'm telling you. You looking for the people that got 10, 30, 40, 500,000 followers, man. And I'm not saying everybody that got those followers. I'm not saying that, not at all. So people that got those followers, don't think I'm talking about you, because I ain't talking about you. But it is some turtles in there that I am talking about. And that's what you got to understand. It is some people that I am speaking about. And that's what you got to understand. That I'm right. Right? I want to double back real fast because a family of dogs, right? I said this on one of my posts on here when I was talking about purple ribbons from the UKC. And purple ribbons are given when the dogs are, from the same family and they've been bred, right, the correct way. So they purple ribbon bred. So you'll see PR on your paperwork. And that just shows you the consistency of the family that was being built on the dogs. And I like those dogs. I like that type of breed. I like consistency. So even like, I'm not just saying this because Yellow One is my brother, but when I look at Yellow One's American Pit Bull Terriers, I'm looking at them and I'm saying, look at the consistency that they got. I mean, every litter, bro. Look at the consistency. That says a lot about what Yellow One is doing. What is he doing, Duro? I feel like he's doing a lot. I feel like he's doing a lot. Look at the head. Look at the structure. Look at those pups. Right? That says a lot about Yellow One's bloodline, with how he puts things together and his vision. Right? And he's a humble guy. So if you reach to him and say, hey, man, you got American Pit Bull Terriers available, he ain't going to leave you on red. He ain't going to not send you his number. He ain't just going to send you 1,000 voice messages. You can't have a conversation with a person having voice messages sent. That doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. It could be 1,000,001 voice messages sent, right? But are you really getting the conversation that you need from a person? No, you're not. Because you send in, I don't care if you send in 2 minutes of the conversation. 2 minutes voice recordings. That's not a conversation, yo. Right? And then you take tomorrow, I send you 3 minutes and 53 seconds, and then tomorrow you come back and you send me 26 seconds. No, that's not a conversation. It's not a conversation. So there's nothing wrong with a person saying, hey, man, nobody, what you think a person going to do? Call you and say, hey, man, I'm a big fan. Okay, I've heard that people do that, but I'm not one. Any breeder that I ever reached out to, I'm interested in buying. I don't want to be your friend, right? If we have a relationship, great, right? If we locked in with each other and we got a brotherhood with each other, great. That just make business more pleasurable and easier, right? I'm not trying to be your friend. All right. I'm not interested in you. I'm interested in what you have, meaning your product, your puppies that you have. I'm inquiring about, hey, man, this, that, and the third. But I want you to understand me and I understand you. So when we do business, we have an understanding. If you got contracts, if you're a big breeder and you got contracts in play, I want to talk to you about those contracts. Because see, at Duro Boys, I'm a total different person. All right. So if I bought a dog from you, it's my dog. You produced it. And I'll give you respect as the producer, but it's my dog. Okay? It's my dog. That's how I do it. It's mine. I'm taking care of it. It's my dog. Simple and plain. All right. So we need to have an understanding as two brothers who trying to do business with each other. Two brothers that's trying to have an understanding of each other. We need to have that conversation because that's how you do business. You don't hide from doing business. All right. Like again, and then I'm off of it. You go to the jewelry store, the you walk into the store, then the salesman and the jeweler go in the back, start hiding. Well, that tell me I shouldn't buy nothing in here. That's what that tell me. Man, I might as well just go ahead and go my own way, go down the street, go to another jeweler, call my mans and or whatever other jeweler I need to go to them. I don't need to do business with you. Keep that in mind, people. Keep that in mind. So I've been looking at pedigrees for a long time, y'all. And one thing that I've always loved and what always stands out to me is how many legendary bloodlines trace back to a handful of producers. And like I say, even with my dog, right? Even with my dog, I know a lot of kennels that's in my dog's pedigree, right? I know a lot of kennels. A lot of the people that's on my page, they got ties, right? So I then reached out to people. I done had conversations with people about my dog. I done had conversations with people trying to find out is paperwork fake? Is it true? Is it real? I done had all those conversations. So when people try to downplay me, dude, the dog, you can't. You can't. DDK9 really in my dog. Bully Blue Giants really in my dog. Rocco Manny really in my dog. Razor Edge really in my dog. You know what I mean? Iron Cross really in my dog. You know what I'm saying? Gotti line really in my dog. So, you know, a lot of the people, it's on my page. That's on his pedigree. They're on my page. We didn't have conversations. So you can't downplay me on my pedigree theory, on my pedigree love or respect because of the simple fact it's not fake. Yours might have been fake. Mine's ain't. It's not my problem. Right? So that's the main thing. Right? Those breeders wasn't chasing everything. They was refining something. And they know where they wanted to go with it. Right? That's what you have to do, y'all. Every breeder has to move you closer to that vision, where you want it to go. You're not just freestyling stuff, just doing stuff. That is not doing, and that is not ethical. You have to be an ethical breeder if you want to do that. That's how you're going to go far. Being ethical. Ethical. That's how you're going to go far, man. Understand. So that's what I made this show for. So let me leave y'all with this, man, because I don't want to beat too much on this, but I wanted to do a show where us dog men and dog women have a show for us. Because, like I always say, sometimes we need to hear things to rebrand us, to go back to, hey, man, that's what I was thinking. I got away from that. Sometimes we need to hear things. We might already know what we want to do, but sometimes we get away from that. And I don't want us to. I want us to stay where we're supposed to stay at. See our vision come to life, because we might just love that vision. Just look at how many people we can say that about, that created their own breed. You know, I don't care what breed it is. I don't care if it's a band dog. If it's a nice dog, it's a nice dog. We can't take that away from anybody, because that was their vision to create that dog, right? And they followed through with their vision. They didn't scrap it. They didn't say, oh, that ain't what such and such kennels is doing, so I need to go over there and be with such and such kennels and do what they doing. Oh, they got this bloodline, I need to go out there and get this bloodline. No, stick to what you're doing. See your plan through. See your vision through. You'll be a lot happier that you did. Right? So think about this, y'all. And I want you to think deep on this. If you was building your dream kennel today, would you rather own the hottest stud in the country? Or would you rather own a producer that quietly gives you the quality for the next 10 years? Think on that. Because me personally, I'll take the producer every single time. You got to understand, fame fades, y'all, like I said. But quality builds legacies, always. To be aware is to be alive. Understand that. This is Duro Lounge, man. If this conversation made you think, leave a comment. Tell me your opinion. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, excuse me. Tell me your opinion. Do you believe the old school dogman approach still work in today's world? Right? Because we had respect for all the old school dogmen. Like I said, I don't care who it is. If it's Tom Garner, if it's Camelot, if it's Maurice Carver, Jeep, right? Crenshaw, right? Bert Sorrells, right? How many other people? How many other people? Gotti Line. Who else? Gray Line. Dave Wilson, Razor Edge, right? Rocco Mania, Dax, Bossy Kennels, right? Well, the beginning of Bossy, you got Camelot. So think on that. Would Kat be where she's at today if she didn't somehow have faith in steady Camelot dogs to start with? I'm trying to tell y'all, this is where the game get all screwed up. Pay attention to what you need to pay attention to, and you'll have the success that you need to have, man. I'm gonna tell you, keep building, man, and build with purpose always. And remember to be aware is to be alive. Rest in peace, Dice. Ain't nothing nice. You only get one, so make sure you enjoy this life. One love, one dog, one bone. Ease.
I mean, the American Pit Bull and the Bully, they're like family to us, you know?
It's the loyalty, man. Nothing like it.
Yep, they're special. And remember, new Duro Lounge podcast episodes are out every Wednesday.
I'm hard, I'm tough, I'm Duro. My dogs stay healthy, my money stay true. I'm from the B where the streets stay cool. 20 stay living, that's the golden rule. I've been ballin' for years, now you knew. Welcome to the bully camp, we the crew. Where the real ones shine and the fake ones lose. Step into the light if you're ready to move. We the kings, we the ones that they praise. Living fast in the glow of the blaze. Money straight like it's set in the maze. We the kings till the end of our day. I'm Duro, my dogs stay healthy, my money stay true. I'm from the P where the streets stay cruel. 20 and stay living, that's the golden rule.